Today, we are diving into one of the rarest, most fascinating abilities known to science. We're talking about a memory so powerful, it's like having a high-definition recording of almost every single day of your life. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, let me ask you something. What were you doing on June 17th, 2008? Seriously, take a second. If you're like me, it's a complete blank, right? Just a random Tuesday from over a decade ago, totally lost in the fog of time. But what if it wasn't?
For a young guy from the UK named Aurelien, the answer just pops into his head, instantly, and with incredible detail. And get this, he was 100% correct. Every single detail, from the day of the week to that wild moment on live TV, was spot on. He's part of a tiny handful of people on Earth with a nearly perfect memory. So what is this thing called? Well, the official name is Highly Superior Autobiographical Memory, or HSAM for short. It's basically the ability to remember your own life in almost flawless detail. But as we're about to find out, having what sounds like a superpower isn't always what it's cracked up to be. And that really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? Is this ability a gift or is it a curse? For the few people who have it, the answer is complicated. Their experience of this total recall can be so profoundly different, it shapes their entire lives in completely opposite ways. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Aurelien, who feels like his memory is, and I quote, a really nice thing to have. But then you have Jill Price, who was actually the very first person ever identified with HSAM. For her, it's emotionally tormenting. She says it makes me crazy. Jill's description is, wow, it's just so powerful. She says, everyone has baggage, but she has a freaking steamer trunk that she's dragging along behind her, always. For her, not being able to forget means every bad day, every argument, every painful moment is always right there, feeling just as raw as the day it happened. But then, on the complete flip side, you have Aurelien. For him, it's a source of pure joy. It's a way to hold on to the best days of his life forever. Just imagine that, a perfect summer afternoon, a favorite holiday. For him, those feelings, those moments, they never, ever fade. So here's the puzzle, right? How can the exact same neurological ability create two totally opposite realities? Why is it a joy for one person and a torment for another? Well, that's the very question that has scientists fascinated and a little bit stumped. Okay, so to figure this out, scientists are looking at two big ideas. They're trying to crack whether HSAM is caused by a physical difference in the brain's structure or if it's more of a mental habit, something people do inside their own minds. The first theory is that this isn't really a memory superpower at all. It might actually be a kind of psychological compulsion. The idea here is that people with HSAM are maybe, without even realizing it, obsessively replaying and organizing the events of their lives over and over again. And there's some pretty wild evidence for this. Jill Price kept journals that totaled over 50,000 pages. Another person with HSAM, Bob Petrella, made something he called the Book of Bob, where he literally cataloged and ranked the days of his life. And even Aurelien showed this obsessive-level recall for the TV show Big Brother. He could remember exact eviction dates for contestants from years ago. But there's another side to this story. Other scientists, like the pioneer in this field, Dr. James McGaugh, think the answer is biological. They believe the brains of people with HSAM are just built differently, that they're physically wired in a unique way that makes their memory incredibly efficient. So how do you settle a debate like that? Well, a team of scientists decided to do something that had never been done before. Look inside the brain of someone with HSAM while they were actively remembering. Professor Giuliana Mazzoni, a psychologist who'd been searching for someone just like Aurelien for years, put him inside an fMRI scanner, one of those big tube-like brain mapping machines. The goal was to see what his brain was doing in real time as they gave him random dates and asked him to remember. And what they found was fascinating. First, there was a ton of unusual activity in the visual parts of his brain, which suggests he literally sees his memories playing out. Second, he accessed them crazy fast. And third, the information was retrieved without much effort, almost like he was just pulling these little prepackaged facts off a mental shelf. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. Professor Mazzoni came to a startling conclusion. She thinks this isn't just about a few unique individuals. It might actually reveal untapped potential that's hidden away inside all of our brains. That maybe, just maybe, we all have a capacity for this that we just don't use.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, even with these incredible findings, the science of HSAM is really just getting started. It's a huge, unsolved mystery, and the very real human price of having a perfect memory is still something we don't fully understand.
As Dr. McGaugh puts it so perfectly, he compares their work to a Sherlock Holmes novel. He says, the mystery is not solved on page 1, and we're still on page 1. We've got clues, sure, but the case is far from closed. Which brings us right back to where we started, with Jill and Aurelien. In the end, Jill is still haunted by her past, saying her memories can be very, very tormenting, because it always feels as if it was yesterday. And Aurelien, he's come to see his ability as something special, concluding, the more I think about it, the more I think it's a really nice thing to have. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Forgetting is what allows us to heal, to move on, to make room for new experiences. But remembering is what connects us to who we are. So if you had the choice to have a memory that never fades, to keep every joy but also every single sorrow, would you take it?